really, even though they seem like this anti-Banshee unit, as Noni has taught us, getting a lot of Phoenixes can always bolster the army. Not like that, not when you suicide them forward. You do need to back them up, and God, they just crack me up. Look at how silly these Phoenixes look as they're backing up. I mean, just the silliest looking unit. I just love this. I mean, I love the thrusters blasting as they just sort of slide backwards. That is so cool. But notice just good micro by the Terran, how he's advancing forward like this, just trying to get all his units firing. And look at just how much damage those Marines are dealing. Just phenomenal amounts of damage. And look at the food differential, how it's 120 versus 180. 40 food differential, and previously it was just a mere 20 food differential. So very, 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 very insanely, incredibly nice macro there by the Terran. So Protoss is continuing to expand, but again, this is an excellent lesson for any Protoss user who's having a little bit of the late game woes. Make sure that you are having good production and that you're not falling violently behind in terms of the food count. And I mean, other than that, this is fairly straightforward play by Terran. I would love to see another engineering bay, and by another I mean one, because he's currently balling up with 0 upgrades, the good old +0/+0 upgrades. But I mean, really, 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 truly, this is a phenomenally strong style of play. That Raven came out, and notice how this has the flexibility to continue to make Ravens. We could even add on, an add-on here to the factory. We could get another barracks, anything like that. We could keep making Ravens. We can bounce back into this medevac production. It just has lots and lots and lots of flexibility. And at this point, I can just say right now that this is going to be relatively easy cleanup. It might take a little bit longer of time, because it's Desert Oasis and games tend to take a million years on this map because it's just too hard to finish him. And listen to me, once again, I did watch Mortal Kombat last night, so I'm watching this and I'm like, finish him. That must have been said like a few hundred times in that movie, and you know what? It got better and better every time. That line was just like a fine line. And more barracks being thrown down. Just very, very easy cleanup. So, look at him bringing the mules in. This Terran player is so mean. He just really wants to wound his opponent. One thing that I want to state right now. This player was Ace. This is Ace, the Chinese player, the Chinese Protoss, for any of you who are unfamiliar with him. I actually withheld that little bit of information because it's often quite useful to just look at it and go, okay, this player versus this player, what's going on? What am I seeing Terran do? What am I seeing Protoss do? Because a lot of times it's easy to have a ton of baggage when you're rewatching games to just go, oh man, well, if Lucifron's doing it, it has to be good, something like that. Oh, White Rob, best player in the universe. However, if you just can somehow take a little bit of a break from, focusing too much on the player and just focusing on the play, get a lot of insight. So this flexibility by the Terran, not only it was able to deal with a wide variety of things that we didn't get to see, we saw it mainly against Void Rays, but we can see how if for instance the Void Rays come in, you're not quite prepared, you can still sort of fumble your way back and be in great shape. So I'm going to take a handful of questions. Then we're going to end this Day 9 Daily a little early because, again, I'm just so tired. I was just shivering in my car hoping that I didn't crash. So let's see here. What else is going on in here? Oh no, says, that Protoss seemed like an idiot. Is he really expecting to win versus Eminem with Zealots and Stalkers? Now, that might sound like an overly inflammatory comment, but it's important to note that when Terran opens up that way, so often Terran will continue with Marine, Banshee, Tank, Raven. That is a strong, strong way to open up. So oftentimes, just getting 6, 7, 8 gateways and just slamming out a bunch of Zealots and Stalkers is the right way to go about dealing with it. And it sounds a little counterintuitive, but, think about how Protoss versus Terran in the original Brood War. If he's going tanks and vultures, oftentimes the best way to deal with it is just to make more zealots and dragoons, and if you lose the battle, then you go, oh, I should have had more zealots and dragoons. And when I see this game, I don't think it's so much the zealots and the stalkers that were the losing factor. It's the fact that there was only 4 gateways worth of zealots and stalkers. Would have liked to see some giant damage dealing unit, either many void rays, a few colossi, or a few high templar or something on the like. Oh, I did want to once again say that the MSL Finals party will be at Joe's Pizza in San Diego. I'm going to be there. It's going to be a fun event watching night where we get to see Jadong or Calm duke it out against Flash. I'm totally going to be there. It's free pizza. It's hosted by Diggity. Check it out on teamliquid.net. And of course, if you're watching this in the video on demand, make sure that you don't send me one of those emails. I actually got an email from someone who saw I think it was my 20th daily or something. And he messaged me for Christmas, and he's like, dude, what MSL party, man? This isn't... What are you talking about? There's no MSL coming up soon. And I'm like, well, I was like, from 4 months ago, so sorry, date's pretty essential here. So let us see here. So Kjartan Stream says, hey Day9, you talk a lot about reacting to the opponent. This feels like a very defensive playstyle. How can you be more the aggressor in the game, making him react to you? I would say that I don't think that this is a defensive playstyle in the slightest. I think that there are defensive follow-ups with it. But I feel like the Terran was quite aggressive in the second game. I mean, he moved out along with his expansion. I mean, he was very, very, very in your opponent's face. And what's nice about it is that it does have that possibility. The Banshee that went in there, you heard me talking all about the cloak and can he get cloak and all this stuff, and the robotics facility and the winning and the putting the Banshee back in the army. But the Banshee scouts the opponent's main, and that's pretty useful. The fact that you get to see exactly what's up. And if you get in that main and you see 4 warp gates, you can go, whoa, I shouldn't attack. If you get in there and see 1 warp gate, you go, oh, yes, I can just make another Banshee, make some more Marines, and attack. All good reasons to use this style of play. The main reason you wouldn't do something like 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport, is that it would have way too much trouble dealing with a variety of standard openings. So I'm going to use Terran vs. Protoss and Starcraft I as an example. If I went 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport, if my opponent went for some sort of big speed zealot dragoon play, just, straight up getting it without any sort of detection, my starport's basically useless. My barracks can't quite make enough stuff, so I just have 1 factory, and I'll be kind of broke, so I don't really have that many units, and I'll lose. If I'm up against something like a very fast Reaver drop, I'm going to be in great shape. But against this other style, I just lose so badly. How do I deal with that other style? Well, I really just need more factory units. So, wow, yeah, the fact that I need so many factory units limits my ability to just get a lot of early starports against Protoss consistently and just be making out of them all game long. In StarCraft II, that's just not the case. You can stay alive against so much stuff. So I'm actually really curious if there are people who have figured out very easy busts to this. That would actually warm my heart a little bit for someone to go, oh, no, you see, you really either need to go for many factories or many barracks, because if you don't have a lot of barracks or factories, the starport just can't help you in situations. Blah. Let's see here. Scratch my eyeball a little bit as we look at this. I'm just going to take this and one more question. So Rain101 says, hey Day9, do you think that going High Templar would have been a good move for the Toss player, as he already had the Council and it countered the ball quite well? Other options for Protoss? I believe on Desert Oasis, you have the unique option to get Templar relatively pain-free, because the distances are so gigantically far, so I think that definitely would have been an effective decision. However, on a map like Lost Temple, there's that do I have enough time issue. That's why players really love opening up Dark Templar and then jumping right into High Templar. Surprisingly, though, I actually did exactly that. I went Dark Templar, into Expand, into High Templar. And I was up against a player who did this one of each building style. And he pushed me with a Raven, some tanks, a lot of Marines, and some Banshees, just 2 or 3 Banshees. And I just didn't have the Templar fast enough, and he almost beat me. There was just a little micro error that cost him the game, really. But I mean, I was kind of like, oh, Jesus. It was really scary at the time. So I think that that is a big issue with this style of play by Terran, is that when he has these one of each building, there's like 8 different timing pushes that he can do. You know, it's just like, oh my god, my opponent's way, he's going for DTs. Okay, get my Raven up, kill off the DT, make one more Banshee, my tanks are already out, bam, going at you, and it's so hard to deal with. So I will take one last question. Here we go. You know, I'm going to scroll all the way down to those recently asked questions. Yes, fantastic. Last question about Colossi. If Protoss just got, this is from ES Destroyer.